Hi, I'm Sydney Tratner, senior producer of the three-night, six-hour documentary series for the History Channel, Road to 9/11, which chronicles the decade-long run-up to the 9/11 attacks. In this business, I get to meet a lot of really interesting people, and the man that I have with me today in the studio tops the list. Emad Salem was born in Egypt. He served in the Egyptian military, and then he emigrated to the United States in 1987. When he was, shortly thereafter, he was approached by the FBI and went deep undercover, helping to thwart one of the most serious terrorist attacks that didn't happen, a terrorist attack that would have killed more people than the attacks of 9/11. So I'd like to welcome very much Emad Salem. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Sydney. As you said, I choose to come to live in America after I was retired from the Egyptian military. I was born and raised in a middle-class family in Egypt. I became a cadet in the technical military college. I'm an electronical engineer, graduated, and then when I retired after 18 years from the Egyptian army, I chose to live in America. Shortly after, I was approached by Special Agent Nancy Floyd, and she said...
But where were you approached, and how did you get approached by a special agent?
I was working in a hotel, in a chain of hotels in Manhattan, and one day one of my security guard called me on the radio, and he said, the FBI at the front desk, they want to talk to you. I said, please send them to my office. And then here is a young lady walking in, and she said, my name is Nancy Floyd. I'm an FBI agent. She showed me her badge, and I need your help. So you cannot imagine how come I'm a new immigrant to America, and the FBI need my help. It was a big, great deal for me. I said, of course, what can I do? And she started telling me what she needs, and I was ready to be helpful as much as I could.
So she introduced you to two other agents in the FBI, and you met with them. Tell me a little bit about that meeting.
She introduced me to two members of the Joint Terrorist Task Force, Special Agent John Antisev and Detective Louis Napoli from the task force in the New York office. And she told me they need your help. And within the period I worked with her on other cases, she realized that I might be helpful in what they need.
Because at around that time in November 5th, 1990, a radical Israeli politician was assassinated here in New York, or murdered here in New York in a hotel ballroom. And the perpetrator of the crime was an Egyptian man named El Said Nosser. And this was basically what started the first looking closely at what was happening in terms of terrorist cells within this country. And so they approached you because they wanted to do, what did they want you to do?
Well, they have no inside information about El Said Nosser. At that time, his trial was in Foley Square in a federal court, and there is a lot of the Muslim community supporting him, demonstrating in front of the court, in and out, and the FBI have no inside vision, ears or eyes, to understand why did he do that, if he did it. And that's why they said, do you know Sayyid Nosser? I said, I read in the newspaper about his name. Do you know that he assassinated Meir Kahane? I said, I wasn't really aware of Meir Kahane or the assassin. I said, I heard that there is an Egyptian guy killed a rabbi, but that's all. So can you help us to bring information about El Said Nosser? I said, let me go to the courthouse and see what can I do.
And at that meeting, you met them at a diner, I think, and they showed you some photographs. Can you tell us who they showed you photographs of?
They showed me a small picture of the blind sheikh.
Who's the blind sheikh?
The blind sheikh is the elected emir. Emir means prince. The elected prince for the Mujahideen, around the globe. That election happened in Egypt in 1979, and his rival at that time was Ayman al-Zawahiri, but he was elected after they gathered the votes from all over the globe that the blind sheikh, he is a PhD in Islam, he is the one who will give a fatwa for the mujahideen around the globe.
So he was a clerical leader who believed that after Egypt became independent, it should be run by religious law, not secularly. That's basically correct?
That is correct. They believe that the rulers of Egypt must apply Sharia law, not a secular government. And that is why they disagreed with President Anwar Sadat's peace agreement in Camp David.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about what you, I think you said to Antaseva Napoli, you recognize the blind sheikh, and for you, the blind sheikh was already a terrorist.
The blind sheikh, I know him since 1981, October 6, 1981. I know him before that because he had so many assassination happened to some reporters and newspaper chief editors, and anybody disagree with him will be assassinated next morning. But the biggest catastrophe to me in my life that in October 6, the Egyptian military was celebrating the October parade, and President Sadat was on a stage watching the parade, and the blind sheikh gave a fatwa. Fatwa is an Islamic order, and his followers believed in his fatwa that President Sadat should be killed.
And that's because President Sadat made the first attempts to make peace with the arch enemy Israel. Is that correct?
Well, it was not an attempt. I mean, he was fought tooth and nail by the Arab leaders not to make this deal, but he stood his ground and he believed that Israeli people have the rights to live, Egyptian people have rights to live, there is no war anymore, and we're going to make peace, period.
So you were at the parade grounds. There was a big parade going on, and you were in the military. You were at the parade grounds. Tell us exactly what happened.
I was close, but not very close, 300-400 feet in the third security circle. And I have my troops being distributed strategically for securing the parade. And out of the sudden, we heard gunshots. And in the beginning, we thought it's part of the parade. But a little bit later, we got on the radio that they said that the president been shot. And later that day, I find out that the blind sheikh gave a fatwa on his life. And unfortunately and sadly, we lost the president that day.
So take us back to the diner when John Antasev and Louis Napoli show you the pictures of the blind sheikh. That must have made you very angry.
It was a shocking for me because I know that the blind sheikh was acquitted from Sadat's assassination, but I know also they didn't acquit him and they classified him as a terrorist because he gave a fatwa to assassinate Farag Foda, assassinate Saeed Mahgoub. So many people got killed over his fatwas, and now the president, so he is a very well-known terrorist around the Arab world, and I don't know how did he succeeded to come to America.
So he's in America at this point.
That's unfortunately what they told me. He is in Brooklyn and living in El Farouk Mosque. And I said, how come, guys? This man is a terrorist. He said, well, bottom line, he is here.
So basically, then they put you to the task of infiltrating the cell. And the cell was basically run by, the blind sheikh was at the top of it, but there was El Said Noser, who killed Rabbi Meir Kahane. So tell us what happened. They brought you to the courthouse. I think one of your first attempts was at the courthouse.
They requested me to get as close as I could to Noser's followers at the beginning. And I created my point of entry, See, when you go undercover, this is a very difficult job. You have to be trained to compartmentalize your brain. I wake up in the morning, 6, 7 o'clock. I have a compartment. I am a father and a husband. Get the coffee to my wife, get breakfast to my kids. Then 8 o'clock, 8:30, I have to switch to compartment number 2, and that is I'm a covert operative for the FBI. I go meet the feds in a dark window tinted car and then get debriefed. Then by 9, 10 o'clock, I switch into 3rd compartment and I become a terrorist. Fortunately, undercover. And I have to talk like terrorists. I have to curse at America. I have to curse at the feds and so on. So you need to train yourself to compartmentalize your brain to be able to switch compartments.
And how did you get these followers in front of the courthouse to believe that you were like them, one of them, and get on the inside?
I established my entry point that I am an ex-Green Berets, and I'm a jeweler, and part-time I do electronic surveillance.
Why a jeweler?
Jewelers means I have money, and I know that they are after money.
Why Green Beret?
Green Berets, I know that either they want me to shoot somebody or they want me to build bomb. Third thing is I'm doing electronic surveillance because I might have recordings, and if they see some recording devices with me, I don't want it to raise a red flag.
Okay, so tell us a little bit more. And why were you? How dangerous was this at the beginning? And why were you willing to go undercover for a country that you had just entered?
Well, this is my choice. I chose to live in America. I was born without choice in Egypt, but when I became American and I choose to live in America, then this is my America, and nobody will mess up with my America. Make no mistake about that.
And so you went. Tell us the day by day. What did you do as when you were inside the cell in that compartment number 2? What did you do? You spent 18 hours a day running around doing what?
Well, 18 hours a day, that's, I have to introduce myself to the crowd at the courthouse. I have to go into the demonstration in front of the courthouse, curse at America, curse at the FBI, to be believable, and I established the recognition of the radicals who is supporting Sayyid Nusayr. And then after that, we go to meet in the mosque in New Jersey. We spend 3-4 hours in the mosque in New Jersey discussing logistics and statistics and stuff like that, and what should we do. And then we move from the New Jersey mosque, which is called Emad Salem Mosque, we go to Queens, to Abu Bakr Mosque. And in Queens, we discuss what we should be doing, and we start send letters to collect money for the defense of El Sayyid Nusayr.
And eventually you actually met El Sayyid Nusayr. You were brought on the inside enough to actually meet El Sayyid Nusayr. Where did you meet him?
I succeeded to come as close as I could to Ibrahim al-Gabroni. Ibrahim al-Gabroni is the cousin of Sayyid Nusayr. And he said, Sheikh Sayyid heard about what you're doing and you're helping us and so on, and he would like to see you. He was in Rikers Island jail, and I said, be glad to meet our hero, and we used to call him a hero, of course. They took me to Rikers Island. I met with him, and we had a very superficial conversation in the beginning so he can feel my dedication and my personality, which I think it clicked with him.
And I think, did you ask him about whether he killed Rabbi Meir Kahane?
I couldn't ask him in the first meeting, otherwise I'll be blowing my cover. So I waited until they transferred him into Attica prison, and he started to hear more about me, and I'm gathering money for him, for his defense and so on. And they took me, when I say they, is his cousin Muhammad al-Gabroni and the other cousin Ali al-Gabroni. They took me to visit Sheikh Sayed in Attica prison, and that's when I approached him differently. I said, Sheikh Sayed, we are so proud of the heroic job you had done, but for me as a retired military person, how did you do that in a court, in a room, have 200-300 people? And he made a gesture with his hand and he said, this. And he mentioned that he did it from the hip.
He shot from the hip.
Right. So that was enough for me, information to acknowledge that he did it like this. And I conveyed that to the agents when I came back.
And after a while, he actually started asking you to do things that were more serious.
Correct. Asked me, I was asked to build 12 bombs by Ibrahim al-Gabroni.
12 bombs.
12 bombs. They will be distributed. The majority of these bombs will go into the synagogues in Brooklyn and in Queens. And there is a bomb for the judge who ruled against Said Nusayr. There is a bomb for Dov Hikind, the assemblyman for Brooklyn, and the third bomb for Senator D'Amato.
So they had a hit list.
They have a hit list, but the majority goes to the synagogues.
Okay, and so they asked you, I think at one point they considered this your responsibility, or your responsibility as a member of the cell. It was your jihad. Nusayr had done his bit by killing Meir Kahane, and now it was the turn of the rest of the members. Is that right?
It came as a question to me. So why you are with us? I said, you know, I served an infidel government in Egypt, and I want to repent and serve God instead of course, that is radical, crazy thing, but that's how you can approach radical, crazy mind.
So tell us, you're spending all of this time with all of these different members of the cell and with Nusayr himself. How did you report this back to Antisev and to Napoli, to the two agents from the FBI?
That is compartment number 2. After I finish compartment number 1, breakfast to my kids, coffee to my wife, go to the agents to be debriefed, and they write back what I did, what I said, what they said, and so on.
Wow. And what about recording? Did you, in this day and age, I don't know, you'd be able to record them?
At that time, the way Special Agent Nancy Floyd asked me to cooperate with them, I was an asset. The asset is a person who gather intelligence only and not to be burned or testify in court. So I was an asset. I don't need to record anything or to write anything, so nothing to testify about.
And you were happy with that?
I was very happy to protect my America.
But you were happy to not have to, what would it have meant for you to wear a wire and to record and to testify in court?
That came in phase 2 when they start actively giving me a recipe for the bombs and where to obtain the parts of the bomb. You go to Canal Street, you go to that distribute, you go to this, you go to that. Now it turns to be a criminal case. So the FBI now have to switch me from asset into informant. I wasn't committing any crimes to be bad informant, but the informant job is to testify in court, to corroborate what he recorded, and I couldn't do that.
Informants are usually often former criminals, is that right?
Correct.
And in your case, that was absolutely not the case. You were an independent guy working at a hotel, and they came and approached you, and you offered to help.
Absolutely. I was pleased to help because, as I told you, this is my choice, and make no mistake about it, I will protect my choice.
So tell us about, so basically you had to remember all the details of all of these conversations and the names, and meanwhile the FBI agents were doing surveillance on the outside, so they were taking photos, etc., and you would have to put names to faces, etc. That was a lot of work, and a lot of dangerous work, I would assume.
It is dangerous, but I didn't mind if I am doing what I think is the correct thing, because I know how brutal the blind sheikh is. I know how much blood he have on his hand. I know that he influenced his followers like Sayyid Nusayr and give a fatwa to assassinate the rabbi. I know all of that for a fact, and I experienced firsthand in Egypt. So I don't want that to happen in my American streets. So I didn't mind.
So what happened after a while when you started making these 12 pipe bombs and you went back and told Antisev and Napoli, they went back to their superiors? Then what happened? It became more complicated.
Actually, they switched gears. Ibrahim al-Gabroni invited me into his house, and he blasted the radio loud because he was thinking that the FBI monitoring his apartment, and he told me, "Can you build big bombs?" I said, "Yes, I can." "What do you need to build big bombs?" And because the 12 bombs is not really making me happy, I wanted something big. I said, "I need a detonator, I need that," and I give him some demands. So they switched gears from 12 small pipe bombs into a big, massive bomb similar to the Oklahoma bomb.
Wow! And you had to walk how did you to not put yourself in a position where you would be considered conspiring? That you had to walk a very fine line with not leading them to do things. I know that we talked before about Antisev and Napoli. There were very strict rules that you had to follow.
Well, I was schooled very well by the special agents who were handling me. John Antisev, Louis Napoli, Nance Floyd. They schooled me not to suggest targets, not to suggest bombing, because that's called entrapment. All of that was new to me in the American law. So I start to learn quickly not to open, but to give open-end questions to let them roll and give me the information needed. Yet I don't want to jeopardize the case later on by suggesting them I'm leading them. And I learned that through my case agents.
Well, so then they basically came to you and they said, "Emad, we'd like you to wear," the superiors in the FBI wanted you to wear a wire because things were getting really dicey now with this bomb. What happened then?
Correct. One of the supervisors, a Sachs in the FBI, said, "Bring me, I would like to meet with him in person." I said, "You said Said Nusayr want you to kidnap the judge, kill the judge, and build bomb and do this." And I said, "Yes." "Okay, we got to put you on a polygraph." And they give me 3 polygraphs to corroborate what I delivered. However,
lie detector tests.
Lie detector tests. And I told him that I don't work well with the polygraph. I will fool the machine. And it came 3 times unconclusive, and that probably make him more angry.
And why were they giving you the polygraph?
To corroborate that I'm not lying, that Sayyid Nusayr wanted a big bomb and Ibrahim al-Gabroni wanted a big bomb, stuff like that. But of course, they were listening to my phones, they were monitoring, they have their surveillance. So every word I was delivering, verbatim words, it was corroborated through other source of investigative techniques.
I see. And they wanted you to wear a wire.
Now, at this time, the ASAC wants me to wear a wire
What's
and
an
go.
ASAC?
The ASAC is an assistant special agent in charge.
Okay, so they wanted you to wear a recording device.
We're recording device, go back to Attica with it, and then record Sayyid Nasser in jail when he's telling me these things. I said, I can't do that. I can't act as an informant. I'm an asset. I will give you the intelligence, corroborated your way. But if I testify in open court, my sister will be beheaded in Egypt. Sheikh Omar's followers in Egypt everywhere. Remember the Luxor massacre, remember the Tahrir Square massacre. They are all over Egypt. And if they see my face in American court putting their prince in jail, they kidnapped my sister. They chased my niece in the streets until she succeeded to hide from them. They want to kidnap her after I testified in court later on. So I was afraid of that, and that's why, thank God, the FBI brought my family here before my testimony.
Okay, but at that point, you said to them, no, I don't want to wear a wire. And then what happened?
I could not wear a wire for the protection of my family.
Right.
So he said, okay, if you don't wear a wire, go home.
What? Go home.
Go home. I said, okay. But when the bomb got built by somebody else and goes off, don't come and knock on my door. And lo and behold, unfortunately, that's what happened.
So suddenly you were not in a cell anymore, that you were no longer in the cell. What did the cell members think? Where did they think you had gone?
The cell, every day, 2-3 times, they call me at home. Brother Emad, you need to come back to the mosque to finish what you started. You need to finish cooking. Of course, I'm not a cook, but I was building a bomb, and that's what cooking meant up here. And I informed the agent in charge of my case that I received a phone call from Attica prison. I received a phone call from Mahmoud Abu Halima. I received, just to be in the safe side, that I'm reporting the phone calls coming to me for 3 months, actually, until they succeeded to contact another technician to build the bomb for them.
And what did you tell them was the reason that you had to lay low?
I told them I'm afraid the FBI is monitoring me. The FBI came and knocked on my door, and I created that scenario that I'm scared of the FBI and I have to walk away and play low.
So this was just a little while. You were let go just a few weeks. Was it weeks before or months?
I will say 2 to 3 months.
2 to 3 months before February 25th, 1993. Tell us
February, yes,
that day.
exactly. They succeeded to send the fax to Osama bin Laden, and I am aware of that because I handled the blind check later on. They sent the fax and they requested another technician, and they sent Ramzi Ahmad Yusuf, who is trained into bomb building. And he came, and Mahmoud Abu Halima met him, and and Emad Salem, and they established communication. And Nidal Ayyad, one of the Muslim community, provided the chemicals needed, and they built the bomb, and they blow it up, unfortunately, on February 26, 1993.
And tell us about that day and what happened.
I was sitting in my living room watching TV, and out of the sudden, a report came that there is a transformer explode in the World Trade Center. And I know it's not I said, honey, called my wife immediately. I said, they did it. This is not a transformer. This is the bomb. They did build the bomb. And unfortunately, that's what it is.
And how did that make you feel? I mean, you were on the inside of this cell.
Yeah, I was so sad. I really felt so guilty when I felt that there is 6 people got killed. One of them is unborn child. It's just brutal, ruthless, unfortunately. I was so guilty. I was so upset that I could have helped. I could have reported that in advance. I could have stopped it.
Wow. That must be a lot to live with.
Well, I lived with that guilt for so long, and I still feel guilty. That's why when I wrote my first book, Undercover, I dedicated the book to the 6 victims who got killed in 1993 bombing by name in the front page.
So after the 1993 bombing, what was happening at the FBI, at the Bureau at that point?
At that point, the FBI, of course, has to ask me to come back again.
Why?
Because they don't have ears and eyes inside the cell, and they don't know what is going on. And they used to get this information through me, and now they coming to say, okay, come back, we need to know what's going on.
So one of the signals, and one of the big things that was missed was that you were let go, that their one informant that within this cell was let go.
Well, I was let go because that was the supervisor's decision. I mean, if it comes to John Antisif and Louis Napoli and Nancy Floyd, this is the humps. Because the FBI is 2 divisions, suits and humps. The suits sitting in a nice air-conditioned office, drinking cold soda, having secretary, and the humps are in the street. Sun or rain, they are on the street. They establish the case, and then the supervisors say, send him home. Okay, I went home, yet they didn't follow up on these people. They have their names, they have their picture, they have their fingerprints. They interviewed them. Each one of the perpetrators been interviewed prior to the bombing. But he ordered not to follow up on the investigation. They build the bomb, they blow it up.
Wow. So you actually agree to go back to the FBI. Is that what happens?
That's out of guilt. I felt guilty that there is 6 people got killed on my watch. And I could have helped them. I could have prevented that. And that, for a military man, that is like a stab in my honor. So I said, I'm coming back, but I'm coming my way. And but you know that when you come back, you're going to need to wear a wire. I said, I will do whatever it takes, because I know that's not the end of it.
So why did you decide to wear a wire now?
Well, because at that time, the FBI was working with the State Department to bring my sister to America. So she will be protected here in the Witness Protection Program. For me to wear a wire, I'm the only one in danger. If they discover that I'm wired, or if they discover that I'm an FBI covert operative, I'm the one who will be killed. And that's not a big deal. I can live with my death, but I cannot live with my wife or my son or my sister or my daughter to be harmed in any way, shape, or form.
So tell us a little bit about going back into infiltrating the cell. What did you tell the cell members? And who the cell members, basically many of them had been rounded up and were in jail awaiting trial for the World Trade Center bombing. So there were new people that you didn't know before. Is that correct?
That's correct. That was the beginning of me meeting Siddiq Ali. Siddiq Ali is a Sudanese immigrant who lives in New Jersey. And he is so close to the blind sheikh. So, of course, they know my role in the first part of the investigation, that I used to gather money for El Sayed Nusayr. They saw me coming back. Hey, brother Emad, what happened? I said, what happened? They arresting our brothers left and right. These son of a bitches, can you imagine this? Son of a bitch is FBI. I said worse than that, so many things. And then they said, okay, we're glad to have you back. Let us see what we will do now. And we start to have a new strategy, start to do more conspiring into different plots and so on. And that's what will lead into the Day of Terror investigation.
And at this point, did you become closer to the blind sheikh?
Yes, one day Siddiq Ali came and he said the sheikh wanted to talk to you. And I said, gladly. I went to his apartment in New Jersey and he said, I heard that you have electronics experience and you're electronical engineer and you can you find out if the FBI monitoring my apartment or not? I said, yes, I have a device, but it's not on me, it's at home. He said, bring that device and come tomorrow.
So here's where you're compartmentalized, right? You're an undercover FBI agent being asked by the man you're following whether the FBI is tracking him.
Right.
How do you handle that?
I get make-believe device. It's not a really sweeping device, but it's a device who will create noise upon command. The reason for that, because I know that blind Sheikh is blind, and he gonna hear. So when I said I got the device, Sheikh, we went to the bedroom, and I assumed that I'm moving the device on the wall, and I turned the volume up, so the volume, and then, oh my God, there is a recording device in the bedroom. Let us to walk out of here. I made sure to say there is a recording devices in the entire apartment except the kitchen. I know that that's my safe zone, the kitchen. It's small, it's confined, it has a lot of wooden cabinets, so it's a good environment to record what I need to.
And the Sheikh felt that it was a safe place because you would be taking him out of the bedroom where you said there were FBI wiretaps and bringing him in somewhere where he could speak privately to you and know that no one was listening.
Before that, he requested from Siddiq to tell me, you have to give the Sheikh bay'ah.
What's that?
Bay'ah is you go to the Sheikh, you kiss his hand, and you put your forehead on his hand, and you say, I dedicate my life to you. Ubayu'uka means I give you bay'ah, I give you dedication for whatever order you say, I must obey. If he accept the bay'ah, he put his hand on my head and he said, okay, I accept. From that point on, that means he trusts me 100%. If he tell me jump out of the window, I must. So that what established that trust. And then he said, okay, let's go talk in the kitchen.
But before that, what were you doing with Sadiq? What was the World Trade Center bombing? It had just happened in February of 1993. And was that it, or were they planning other things?
No, so they told me, you see, brother, at like 3 o'clock in the morning in his apartment in New Jersey, and he said they arrested Ibrahim al-Gabroni, they arrested Muhammad, they arrested our brothers. I said, son of a bitches, can you believe that? He said, you know, we have to do something seriously very soon. I said, I'm all ears and eyes. Tell me, what do you want to do? He said, we need to blow up the armory, the military armory. There is one here in Manhattan. So that's a good idea. I'm accepting his suggestions because that's what I was schooled to do.
Sadiq's suggestions.
Sadiq suggested the armory, and then after that, a couple of days later, added the United Nations, the Lincoln Tunnel, the Holland Tunnel, Washington Bridge, the Statue of Liberty, the 26 Federal Plaza, which the housing of the FBI.
And so you were together with Sadiq going around and looking at some of these targets to figure out how to attack them.
Well, I brought my video camera to start. I mean, I'm recording now, officially recording with legal permission from a judge and the FBI and everything. So we start to case the places. We went to the Federal Plaza and we saw where the cars go to the garage. So we're going to set a fire at the corner. When the guards run to extinguish the fire, we're going to roll the bomb in the basement. That's one. The second one is the Statue of Liberty. We went to the Statue of Liberty and then so they said, stand here, brother, let me take your picture. Click. With the Statue of Liberty because it will not exist anymore. Of course, I'm inside me like on fire that the Statue of Liberty and the magnitude and the greatness of we're going to blow it up, and he's ha ha ha. It just drove me nuts. Another type of picture when I was eating a hot dog and he saw the World Trade Center still standing, and he said, brother, let me take your picture with the World Trade Center because it will not be here anymore. Ha ha ha, and we laugh, and we start to case the places on video and take still pictures as well. We went through the tunnels.
The tunnels?
The Lincoln Tunnel and the Holland Tunnels, recording video to mark the spot in the middle of the tunnel where we will leave the car carrying the bomb, and then they press the button or light the fuse. It was a button to press. And then they will jump out of the car. There is another car to take them out of the tunnel. And we blow both tunnels simultaneously in 1 minute to create that the Hudson River drowned Manhattan and New Jersey together.
This was referred to later as the landmark terror plot, and it actually went to trial. Tell me a little bit about what that meant. I mean, did you understand the enormity of what was going on in terms of how many? I think they were planning to do the attacks 5 simultaneously.
Correct, and I think Judge Michael McKasey put it in the best language. He said, thank God Mr. Salem was on our side, otherwise we will have catastrophe worse than the Civil War in Manhattan. And that hit me with the enormous amount of people who will die drowning or in the bombing, or it was thousands of people could get killed with these 5 bombs. Remember, one bomb in Oklahoma City, the same design, had massive casualty. So you imagine 5 of these bombs in the United Nations. You do that, topple United Nations, Washington Bridge, the FBI building. It was a big investigation. It was a big plot. It could have really caused a lot of harm to Manhattan.
So when they asked you to build these bombs, you needed some sort of place to build them.
Yes, I agreed to build the bombs, and of course I am immediately contacting the feds, the agents immediately. So they said, okay, now you need a place to build these bombs. We call it the safe house. I said yes. So they showed me a it's a big garage in Queens, in Jamaica, Queens. And they said, well, how about this garage? I said, good, but we need to wire it. They said, it is wired, audio and video. Once you take that key and you bring the bad guys, we are monitoring you 24/7.
Wow.
I said, that's great. And I start to bring Siddiq, who told me that he will introduce me to the people underground. And I start to see complete new members of the cell who came to help in mixing the bombs and so on. And from that point on, we start to have 5 bombs built in inside that bomb factory in Jamaica, Queens.
And so all of this was recorded, and we used some of the video and the audio in our series on the History Channel. And it's just amazing to be able to actually have that kind of video. You actually see you building, stirring and building the bomb, serving coffee to the different cell members, et cetera, et cetera. It's really quite astounding.
Serving the coffee, it was for a purpose, because these people underground, yes, we have them on tape, but I serve them tea, actually. So when they grab the cups, I can obtain these cups later to have fingerprints. So that was the first time, I think, that the FBI had the ability to monitor terrorists actually mixing the bombs in live, actual time, like when we are live now on Facebook.
And did you worry that they would not be able to close this plot down, that the plot might happen, but despite all your best efforts?
No, I had faith in the FBI in this point because they were taking it seriously. They had dedicated a lot of agents for the investigation. It's getting serious. When the bombs start to get mixed, we have very volatile, dangerous situation. If God forbid, in a very hot environment in that garage, any spark, it will blow 5 bombs. You got 5, 6 city blocks blown away. You just destroy the people in the neighborhood. And the FBI is very careful not to harm the public. So they came to a point when they said, we need to exchange the real material in these 55 drums into fake explosive. You only the one will know. And we made a date that they will come at 3 o'clock in the morning, and they took the real explosive out and they put fake explosives and for the public's protection.
What was it like to come in the next morning, and know that those bombs had fake explosive devices in them?
Nothing much. I have to switch to the 3rd compartment, which is a covert operative. I have to maintain my heartbeat. I have to maintain my sweat. I have to one day walk from the room. We had a semi-automatic gun ready for any FBI agent or cops walk in, we just kill him. And he pointed at me and looked at me with a solemn face, shaking me down. So if I panic, I don't know if my cover being blown, if I sweat, if all of that, I will be dead, and then they arrest him for homicide. It'd be too late for me. So I succeeded to pull the gun out of his hand and pointed at him. I said, that's what martial arts will do. Ha, ha, ha. And we laughed, and I gave him back the gun. But at that time, the FBI took the gun, took the firing pin out of it for my safety.
Wow. When did they finally decide to take down the plot? How did that work?
I was hoping that they tell me in advance, so I will be aware of the raid. But they didn't. They kept that a secret. I felt it in the demeanor of the agents, John and Lewy, and I said, are you guys going to take the case down tonight? They looked at each other and said, we don't know. Now I know that they know, but they don't want me to know. So I unlocked the back door of the garage, and I left the front door unlocked. And out of the sudden, 1 o'clock in the morning, I see the front door open, the back door is open, and a black masked SWAT team jumping in with shotguns and everything. And they floored me down, put his leg on my neck, put the shotgun in my head, don't move, I blow your head, and stuff like that. And silence. Everybody is under control. My car was inside. They thought there is a bomb and could be in the trunk. They got a bomb technician, Special Agent Steve Vieira, opened the trunk, clear, clear, clear. They start to pick each one up. At that moment, I thought the FBI arresting me with them, and they're going to charge me as a terrorist. They are not going to admit that I was delivering information to them. So I got a panic attack and start sweating and losing my breath, and they took me straight to the hospital, spent the night next to me, and I'm still here.
That's an amazing story. There's one part of that story that we left out, which was to be able to bring this to trial. What did you have to do to get the Blind Sheikh involved? Because the Blind Sheikh was the spiritual leader of this group, but he wasn't part of the day-to-day members making the bombs, etc. So what happened to get him to actually be part of this, to get him to prove that he was part of this?
I just gave him a slack and let him choke himself. I get him to trust me until he said, we need to talk and let us go to the kitchen. Went to the kitchen. Of course, the covert device I had at that time, it was the digital technology wasn't available in the world. It was analog. So I have 3 hours Nagra tape device. So that recording device in a briefcase. So I hold a blind shake in my left arm. I take my briefcase with me. We go to the kitchen. I told him, Sheikh, Siddiq and I building a big one, and we're going to bring the United Nations down. Should we do it or not? To get a fatwa. And he said, don't do it. I said, don't do it. Why? So he said, because the world think that the United Nations is the center of the peace, and they will take it out on the Muslims, that Muslim people against peace, and that will not put the Muslim in a good light. However, and then he come to my left ear, put his mouth, whispering, find a plan to blow up or to inflict damage, verbatim, on the American army. I said, okay, so I got it. Thank you so much. And if that is illicit or permissible? He said, no, it is not illicit. So, of course, he is whispering in my ear, and I was so concerned that the microphone in my right hand in the briefcase, so I have slowly but very carefully bring the briefcase up close to my nose, close to his mouth. Of course, he's blind. He doesn't see what I'm doing. But my concern is 6, 7 people sitting outside with AK-47 and machetes. I will be beheaded if they saw me in that position. But I was able to get his fatwa to blow up the army on record, and I immediately dropped my briefcase before anybody come to the kitchen and see me in that awkward position.
And so in your briefcase was a recording device. Was there something strange about the briefcase, that it had something?
That was very covert. The briefcase has a red light. Once you press record, the red light flash. Okay, the blind sheikh is not going to see the red flashing lights, but I have 12 people in the room. If any one of them, so I got a piece of gum, I chewed it, and I just stuck it on the red light just to save my neck.
And that was enough to get the blind sheikh on tape, was enough to actually convict him at trial?
That was the only and the first time the blind sheikh get caught with his pants down. He always give the fatwa, do the provocation, do the fiery sermons, and then stay in the background, wait for the result. But that was the first time somebody succeed to have him on tape when he is giving a fatwa to blow up some target.
And the sheikh was convicted. He went to jail for many years. He just died this year. How does that make you feel? And is the world, do you think that we're going to enter a more peaceful time, or are there other people like the sheikh who have already taken his place?
On the contrary, I think we are in more dangerous before the blind sheikh passed away, because a week before he passed away, he wrote his last will and testament, and he ordered his followers to revenge for him, quote unquote, violent revenge. Violent revenge, it will never bring peaceful resolution inside the American streets. The blind sheikh had followers on the American streets today. They are waiting for the opportunity to have a violent revenge for his death.
And what is your advice? What can we do today in this situation that we find ourselves in with terrorists? Why do they hate us so much? What can we do to change the situation?
I think from my way of infiltrating this group of people, I dissected their personalities. They saying, Allahu Akbar, God is great. And they are doing what God wants him to do. But the reality is they are after two things. One, domination, which is power. Two, money, period. They take Islam as a curtain to hide behind, but everybody is after getting more domination, getting more power. Let us to get more Muslim people in the country. Let us to have more mosques participate in our cause. Two, let us to make fundraising. It came a day when I saw the blind sheikh having 63,000 US dollars in a piece of newspaper wrapped, give it to Muntasir Zayyat, his Egyptian attorney, and he said, give this lil Hagga, al-Hagga, which is his wife. Next morning, I contacted my Egyptian intelligence friends in Egypt. I said, Muntasir Zayyat coming back to Cairo, he have a newspaper wrapped under his clothes from the blind sheikh. I think it has some instruction to his followers. So they got the airline number. They arrested Muntasir Zayyat in the newspaper, as I described it, $63,000 going to his wife. If that is jihad or that is after money. So these people after, as I said, domination, and in my conversation with them, they always say, let us to make them live in terror. And nothing beat terror but terror. So we have to do military, and there is no mercy here. You have to hit as hard as you could. And in the same time, we have to fight the ideology. So our war in terror, as I believe, it's two divisions. Very merciless military attack. We're not going to kill them all. We might kill some. But the remaining balance of them, which is the majority, they will melt in the population. Like what happened in the Iraqi army. 1 million soldier army take their uniform off and run and melt in the population. They waited until they became ISIS later on. And on the background, we have to fight the ideology. The ideology starts since you are 4 or 5 years old. They plant in your mind that your enemy are the Jews. The Jews are a bunch of pigs and sons of apes. And even when I was growing up in Egypt, all the caricatures in the newspaper used to be showing the Israeli guy have a bullseye eyes and have horns and tails. And when I met some of this Israeli in 1993 war, they had no horns, they have no tails. They're humans, want to live like we live. And that's what President Sadat did. Peace agreement, thankfully lasting until today.
But it's one thing to have these feelings. It's another thing to act violently. Most Muslims do not act violently. You're a Muslim yourself. Can you explain what the Muslim responsibility is for what I've heard you call these terrorists evildoers?
Correct. I think they call themselves jihadists, but again, they are evildoers. They are doing the devil's work. And that's why they have to be hit with no mercy, because they have no mercy when they come to fight us. So you have to fight them with the same weapon to be able to eradicate their leaders. But the bottom of their pyramid, they will immediately get scared, melt in the population, because they will be terrorized. That's the weapon you use against them. Two, we have to start to create programs in the police department, in the FBI. There is no broadcast station dedicate even 30 minutes a week to broadcast a good correction ideology to the Muslim community. And that's what will start to establish in the youngster's brain, that to be a good Muslim, not to go kill a Christian or a Jew or blow bombs, but that's the way life should be. Prophet Muhammad himself married a Jew, married Guwayriya, the daughter of Huyay, to show the Muslim people tolerance, but they don't have tolerance. He married two Coptics to teach the Muslim youngsters that it's okay to be Christian, it's okay to be a Jew, even it's okay to marry them. But unfortunately, they don't want to hear that, they don't want to listen to that, they just wanted domination and money.
And the last question, what is your advice? I know you speak to FBI agents at Quantico on a regular basis, and what is your advice to young agents going undercover today in this kind of situation?
The FBI today is a way, way much better than the FBI in 1991 and 92. I think they had a lot of lessons they learned. I think they are doing a lot of work. My advice is get close to the Muslim community to melt the icy wall, for them to be able to feel safe to report their black sheeps.
Thank you so much, Emad Salem. Please watch tonight, the third night in our series, and thank you so much for being with us.